Chosen one, there is a season you are walking through right now that no one around you can fully understand, and that is not by accident. This is not isolation caused by failure, rejection, or confusion. This is separation caused by assignment. You were not meant to be explained to everyone. You were not designed to be understood by the crowd. God intentionally placed you into a season where clarity would come from Him alone, because if others could understand it, they would interfere with it. If others could see it clearly, they would try to influence it. If others could relate to it, they would try to control it. But this season requires obedience, not consensus. It requires faith, not validation. It requires endurance, not applause. There are moments when you feel like you are living between worlds. You don't fully belong to who you used to be, but you don't yet feel settled in who you're becoming. Conversations feel shallow. Old environments feel heavy. Familiar routines feel empty. And people keep asking you, why are you so quiet? Or why are you distant? Or why don't you do what you used to do anymore? They think you are changing for the worse, but heaven knows you are being refined. You are not pulling away from people, you are being pulled deeper into purpose. God is reducing the noise because He is increasing the instruction. This is the season where obedience costs more than disobedience ever did. It would be easier to explain yourself, easier to fit back in, easier to lower your standards, easier to return to what once felt safe. But safety is not your calling. Comfort is not your assignment. Familiarity is not your future. God did not choose you to blend in during times that demand separation. You were made for a season that requires you to walk without reassurance, to move without applause, to trust without proof. What people don't understand is that you are being trained in silence. Heaven is teaching you how to hear without noise, how to discern without confirmation, how to move without permission. This is the season where God removes the training wheels of emotional dependence. You can no longer rely on encouragement the way you once did. You can no longer move based on how people respond. You are being rewired to obey even when no one claps, no one agrees, and no one sees it yet. And yes, this season feels lonely, but it is not empty. Loneliness is not the absence of people, it is the absence of alignment. And right now, God is stripping away everything that is misaligned so your life can hold what is coming. Some relationships cannot go where you are going because they were only designed for the previous version of you. Some people only knew you in survival mode, not in authority. They were comfortable when you were broken, but threatened when you became whole. So God had to create distance, not to punish you, but to protect what He placed inside you. You keep wondering why people misinterpret your intentions, why your growth makes others uncomfortable, why your obedience is questioned, why your silence is misunderstood. It is because you are operating from a dimension they have never been invited into. When God pulls you into a private season, He does not explain it to spectators. He explains it to participants. And right now, you are the only participant. This is not arrogance. This is assignment. You were made for a season where faith looks irrational to those who don't hear the same instructions you hear. You were made for a season where your decisions don't make sense on paper, but make perfect sense in the spirit. You were made for a season where obedience requires you to let go of logic, timing, and approval. And yes, that kind of season will isolate you, but it will also elevate you. God is teaching you how to carry weight of responsibility, weight of authority, weight of calling. That weight cannot be trained in crowds. It cannot be developed in comfort. It cannot be refined in popularity. It is formed in private, in pressure, in obedience that no one applauds. You are learning how to stand without leaning on people. You are learning how to hear God clearly without running everything through human filters. This season is uncomfortable because it is transitional. You are shedding old skins, old mindsets, old reactions, old patterns, and shedding always feels painful before it feels freeing. You cannot become who God has called you to be while carrying who you used to be. Something has to die for something greater to live. And death, even spiritual death, is never convenient or celebrated. There are days when you question yourself, when you wonder if you missed God, when you wonder if you are being too extreme, when you wonder if you are overthinking. That doubt is not proof you are wrong. It is proof you are stretching beyond what you've known. Faith that doesn't stretch you doesn't grow you. Obedience that doesn't cost you doesn't change you. People around you may think you are wasting time. They may think you are falling behind. They may think you are doing nothing. But what they cannot see is that God is building foundations beneath the surface. He is strengthening character, sharpening discernment, healing wounds you didn't even know were influencing your decisions. You are not delayed. You are being prepared. This is the season where God breaks your dependence on outcomes. You are learning to obey without guarantees, to trust without timelines, to move without seeing the full picture. And that is uncomfortable because your old self needed control. Your old self needed reassurance. Your old self needed visible progress. But the new you is being trained to move by faith, not by sight. You were made for a season that requires courage more than confidence. Confidence comes from experience. Courage comes from obedience. Right now, you are being asked to move before you feel ready, to stand before you feel strong, to speak only when God tells you, and to stay silent when your emotions want to defend themselves. Silence is not weakness in this season, it is wisdom. God is also teaching you restraint. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Not everyone needs to understand what God is doing in you. Some people would only use your vulnerability to delay your destiny. So God covers you by confusing them. He hides you in plain sight. He allows you to be misunderstood so you can remain undisturbed. This season is not about proving anything. It is about positioning. You are being positioned for a role that requires clarity under pressure, obedience under uncertainty, and humility under elevation. If you could not survive being misunderstood, you would not survive being visible. So God is training you now in private to handle public responsibility later. You were made for a season that breaks comparison. You cannot measure yourself against others right now because your path is different. Your timing is different. Your assignment is different. What works for them may delay you. What blesses them may distract you. What excites them may drain you. God is teaching you to stay in your lane, even when that lane feels empty. There will come a moment when this season makes sense, when clarity replaces confusion, when fruit replaces faith, when doors open that no one can deny, and people will say, "It happened suddenly," not knowing how long you were faithful in silence, not knowing how many nights you wrestled in prayer, not knowing how many times you chose obedience over comfort. Chosen one, you were not forgotten. You were not overlooked. You were not delayed. You were set apart. This season is not a mistake, it is a molding ground. And though no one else may understand it now, heaven understands it fully. Stay obedient, stay grounded, stay humble, stay listening, because when this season ends, you will not just step into something new, you will step into it ready. Chosen one, there is something else happening beneath the surface of this season that few ever recognize while they are inside it. God is not only separating you from people, He is separating you from patterns. Patterns of reacting too fast. Patterns of explaining too much. Patterns of seeking permission for what He already approved. This season is breaking cycles that quietly limited your authority. And the reason it feels so intense is because generational limitations are being confronted at the root, not managed at the surface. You are learning how to stand still without panic, how to wait without anxiety, how to trust without constant signs. That is not accidental. God is teaching you mastery over your inner world because where you are going, emotional instability would cost you influence. He is slowing you down so you don't rush into places your character hasn't fully caught up to yet. Delay is not denial here, it is alignment. This season is also exposing motives, yours and others. You are seeing who connects to you for who you are versus who you are becoming. Some people were drawn to your accessibility, not your calling. They were comfortable when you were always available, always explaining, always adjusting. But as God strengthens your boundaries, those connections weaken. That doesn't mean you've become cold. It means you've become clear. You may notice that even when you try to return to old versions of yourself, old conversations, old habits, old ways of relating, it feels wrong now. That discomfort is protection. God has shifted your appetite. Things that once satisfied you no longer feed you. Things that once excited you now drain you. That's because you are no longer meant to live from survival. You are being trained for stewardship. This is the season where God teaches you discernment through disappointment. Some doors close quietly. Some people fade without explanation. Some opportunities dissolve without warning. And your instinct is to ask why. But heaven is not obligated to explain every removal. Sometimes clarity comes later, because if you knew now, you might resist the separation. God removes what cannot survive the next version of you. You are also being taught how to carry truth without forcing it. You are realizing that not everyone is ready for the depth you now carry, and instead of trying to convince, you are learning to conserve. Wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the work. This season is sharpening that wisdom. There is a quiet strengthening happening in you. You don't react the way you used to. You don't chase the way you used to. You don't collapse under pressure the way you used to. That is growth. Even when it feels lonely, even when it feels heavy, even when it feels unseen, something solid is forming. God is anchoring you so deeply that storms won't uproot you later. You may feel like your life is simple right now, even small. But simplicity is not stagnation, it is focus. God is stripping distractions so you can recognize His voice without interference. When everything is loud, discernment weakens. When everything is quiet, truth becomes unmistakable. That is why this season feels so still and yet so demanding. This is also the season where God teaches you to trust Him with your reputation. Being misunderstood is uncomfortable, but defending yourself prematurely would slow your assignment. God is allowing narratives you cannot control because He is teaching you that obedience outranks explanation. What He establishes will not require your defense. You are being prepared for visibility by being hidden, for leadership by being humbled, for influence by being purified. Many people want the platform without the process. But you were chosen for longevity, not momentary attention. And longevity requires depth that only private seasons can produce. There will be moments when you are tempted to rush this season, to force clarity, to manufacture momentum, to reinsert yourself where God has removed you. Resist that urge. Every time you try to speed up what God is slowly building, you risk cracking the foundation. What He is doing in you now is meant to last. Understand this clearly. Not everyone who questions you is against you. Some simply lack the capacity to understand a season they have never been invited into. But you cannot downgrade your obedience to make others comfortable. You cannot shrink your calling to preserve familiarity. You cannot explain what must be discerned. This season is teaching you spiritual maturity. Mature people don't need to announce every move. Mature people don't react to every opinion. Mature people don't confuse silence with weakness. You are becoming someone who can be trusted with influence because you've learned restraint. And yes, there will be moments where you long for connection, affirmation, reassurance. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But God is showing you that your source cannot be people. People fluctuate. Applause fades, validation changes. But the voice of God remains consistent. That is why He is teaching you to lean there first. When this season breaks, and it will, you won't come out desperate. You won't come out unsure. You won't come out needing approval. You will come out grounded, clear, and unshakable. And the same people who couldn't understand this season will recognize its fruit later. Chosen one, do not abandon this season prematurely. Do not numb it. Do not escape it. Do not resent it. This is where strength is being formed quietly. This is where authority is being rooted deeply. This is where clarity is being refined patiently. You were made for a season no one else can understand, because what God is preparing you for will require a depth few are willing to develop. Stay faithful here. Stay listening here. Stay obedient here.